Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Football Fignuts podcast. This is Season 5, Episode 20. If you counted all of them, it is 214 episodes. I'm Craig.
I am Britt.
Britt, we are back after a week off, because you know what? Why not?
I'm still digesting Thanksgiving. like the amount of turkey and random side dishes that I took in.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the folks who know me know I've been doing keto for over a year. I stopped doing it in October because my doctor told me my hormone levels were out of whack and I should take like a month or two off. And I'm like, well, great, it's the frickin' holidays coming. So hello 2022, back on my diet. Just don't put on the weight you took off. But so I didn't have things like stuffing and mac and cheese and like anything with a pasta in it. I didn't have any of that shit for like a year and a half. And I've eaten it nonstop for the last week. I'm scared to step on the scale. I am. I'm scared to step on the scale. And don't even get me started on the beer because I was off.
That's right.
I was off.
You were actually off. You were on vacation, so you know.
I was on vacation the whole week of Thanksgiving, and if you came by my holiday stream on Twitch last Friday night, you know the beer was flowing pretty liberally.
Yeah, I lost track of how many beers Britt had during that horrible movie.
I think it was 6. And
Maybe.
that movie's only 2 hours long. I had 6 beers in 2 hours. that is like your health is at risk level of drinking for me. I mean, fortunately, I had a ton of Powerade while I was drinking. I had a beer and I had Powerade, a beer and a Powerade. But just in general, and to that end, I don't have a beer tonight because work has been crazy, and I need to detox from Friday, and such and such. So, Craig, let's go to you. Let's start where we always start. What are you drinking tonight?
So tonight, I already poured it in the glass. Apologize. I have a beer that our friend Sean gave me for my birthday.
Okay.
This is Southern Tier Brewing Cold Brew Coffee Pumpkin Nitro Imperial Pumpkin Ale.
That is so hipster bullshit right there. It's nitro coffee pumpkin stout, right?
Well, it's imperial. I wouldn't call it a stout because it's not as heavy as a stout.
An imperial. Oh my god, this is what gives beer drinkers a bad name. Beers like this. I'm not blaming you. I'm glad you're trying it, and I hope it's good. But there was a commercial on the other day where a guy walks up to a bar and the bartender is like, "What do you have?" And then across the room was like every stereotype you could possibly ask for. And at the end of he looks over at the end of the bar and there's this guy who looks like the Ancient Mariner. He goes, "Fishermen drink a good stout." And he turns to his right and there's a guy dressed like his father. He goes, "Your dad drank lagers. You should too." And then behind him are 2 guys in skull caps with hipster beards. And one of them goes, "This IPA is only brewed in a mountain by a guy who keeps goats as his only companions." And there's a goat standing next to them.
That would probably be
so.
us.
Not only are they drinking the goat beer, but they brought a goat with them to drink the goat beer. And this is the perception. This is what I'm talking about. At some point, you've got to sit there and you've got to go, "That's too much in one beer. That's too much." You could do nitro and pumpkin. You could do nitro and coffee. You could combo 2. Putting all 3 is putting us at that hipster realm that gives beer drinkers
and
that
then
weird.
if you do it imperial, does that add another layer to it?
Yeah, I guess I'll say yeah, sure, why not? I mean, you say it's an imperial. What's the percentage on it?
This is 8.6.
Oh my god, that's a one and done. I'm glad I didn't have that on Friday. Let's just put it that way. So, have you tried it?
Yes, I did. I did take a sip of it. There's some light penetration. You cannot see through it at all. Like, can't see your fingers, and it's a very smooth, kind of a creamy taste. And then there's a very subtle coffee flavor. There's more coffee to me than pumpkin.
Okay,
but it's good.
Okay, good. Yeah, Southern Tier does some nice stuff. I just think that there just comes a point where it's oversaturation. Like my wife was drinking an Abomination sour the other day that was marshmallow, vanilla, guava, lactose. And I'm like, oh my God, how? It's just in the race to stay unique. We've gotten to the point where unique is just too strange.
You remember when it was just like, at least around here, it was just like Two Roads and Nebco.
Yeah.
And maybe someone else.
Let's see. Two Roads and Nebco were the first 2 in the area. maybe Aspetuck after that for stuff that's close to us anyway.
Yeah, Aspel was after that.
And then came the Wave. We got like 4 of them in Stamford. We got Tribus in Milford.
Fairfield Craft Brewing, and down the street, it's just
Fairfield.
down the street from Two Roads.
Voracious.
Voracious.
Yeah,
The weird thing with Voracious, they were a equipment supplier before they got into beer.
Yeah, they also operate the supplier Maltose Express.
Yep.
And they were there. Maltose Express was there long before Voracious opened.
Yes.
Oh, anyway, enough beer chat. No, there's no such thing as too much beer chat, but let's get on to burning hot takes. Craig, I've got some interesting stuff on the screen from CBS, so I'm gonna lead off tonight.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the 2021 NFL playoff picture. CBS fed all their stuff into a fancy computer, and we discussed in depth the people that they said were going to make the playoffs, weren't going to make the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. You may remember your Bengals were out of the AFC playoff projection at that point.
I do.
Well, according to CBS, they're now in. They're going to be wild card number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chiefs are now the AFC West champions, and the Chargers are the last wild card. Which I got to bring it up. When the Chiefs were 2-4, I went on FanDuel, and I put the bet was like plus 240. I put $10 on the Chiefs to win the AFC West. And lo and behold, they haven't lost since. At the same time, I put a bet at like plus 350 for $5 that the Chargers would not make the playoffs.
That could still happen.
It not only could have happened, now I have, for the first time in my betting career, granted, betting's only been legal in Connecticut for a couple weeks now. For the first time, I got an email from a betting site asking me if I would want a buyout that was in my favor.
Oh, really?
You know, sometimes you put, if you're not familiar, when you bet on these football games, say you put $10 on the Browns, and halfway through the game, it's a tie game. If you log into the site, you may see a message that says, cash out option, $8. Thinking, okay, well, you risked it. You may not feel comfortable with it. You might just want to take your $8 and go home and take a $2 loss.
Right.
But it's almost always in the favor of the casino.
Usually, yes.
This time, I put $10 on the Chief, and they're offering me like $18 to cash out.
I wonder why.
So things have shifted. I'm actually going to look. I'm going to look into it live.
All right.
While we're having this conversation, I'm going to look and see what my odds are for those two things. Log back in. Yep, that's my face. We have 2-factor authentication.
Yeah, let's.
All right, so let me ask my question while I get
Yeah.
this up. I'll get this working. But the newest version of the AFC playoff projection has the 1 seed going to the Baltimore Ravens. Craig, do you think the Ravens get the bye with the Bills, Titans, and Chiefs all hot on their heels?
Now I'm basing this off the last couple weeks. Excuse me. I put that at like 50-50 right now. I don't think it's a solid lock-in like people thought in the beginning of the year. It clearly, there have been teams that have been able to stop the Ravens. They watched a lot of film on Lamar and were able to contain him. And if you do that, the Ravens offense just shuts down. So to say that the Ravens are going to get the 1 seed as of right now before week 13 is iffy at best.
I think the Bills, if the Bills beat the Patriots this week, they've got to be the favorite for the 1 seed. They've got to be. And the Bills have stumbled, but who hasn't stumbled? The Chiefs got off to a terrible start. The Titans suddenly look vulnerable. The Bills have lost a couple of games recently.
The Bengals, before the bye, their last 2 games for the bye, they looked horrible.
Oh, I didn't tell you this. I put $10 on the Bengals to win the AFC North.
Oh, I did too. Actually, I think
a month ago. Like a month ago, I just got a cash out offer, $10 bet. They're going to give me $11.09 if I walk away right now. They're going to pay me $1 to say forget about the whole thing. But if the Bengals win, it was plus 330. That's $43 payout. I'm going to sit on that.
Hey, you might as well.
The Chief payout for a $10 bet for the Chiefs to win the West, it was a plus 210, by the way. So a $10 bet pays $31. They're offering me $17.92 to walk away right now. That's how much things have shifted in the last 4 weeks for the Chiefs and the Chargers. So I don't think the Ravens get the 1 seed at all. Let's shoot over to the NFC really quick before I get to yours.
Yeah.
The 1 seed playoff projection, according to the CBS computers, the 1 seed is going to be the Cardinals.
How? Wait, what?
Cardinals.
Cardinals?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
I feel like the Cardinals are too broken. They're like they're an injury and a half away from missing the playoffs.
I think the Packers are probably got to be the favorite for the 1 seed, but the Packers feel again. What's the only thing that derails really, really, truly good teams is injury. And the Packers lost to the Chiefs. The Packers lost to the Chiefs because Aaron Rodgers wasn't there.
Yeah, if he was playing, I don't know if the Chiefs win that game.
And that's when they were skidding, remember? Because we were all joking that was a premier matchup before, and now it was like, oh my God, I can't believe this has got to be on TV. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, they better send Aaron Rodgers a fruit basket. Because that was the game they got right. That was the game that they started to show, since then they've looked okay. They still don't look dominant, but they've looked okay. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think Green Bay's got to be the favorite there. So okay, what's your question for me?
So my question for you, my question for you involves another thing involving quarterback, or actually a whole team in general. So Troy Aikman the other day, actually I think it was today, he said this. He went off on a kind of a tangent about the Rams and quote-unquote super teams, and he said that he's never seen it work in the NFL. Because after this past week, and this actually even started the week before, now people are saying that Matt Stafford has an Odell Beckham problem, where now all of a sudden you have another superstar receiver. So now the team or quarterback feels like they need to force feed him the ball, because last game he had 10 not attempts, but 10 targets, and he only caught 5 of them, and one of them was a touchdown.
Yep.
And then you look at the Rams, and they signed Von Miller a couple weeks before Odell.
Traded for him.
And it seems like, like Troy said, super teams don't work in the NFL. They may work in video games, clearly, but do you think he's right? He's onto something? Do signing multiple major free agents, quote unquote, do they help teams, or do they just make it worse?
I think you have to consider the super teams only form through free agency, in his opinion, because you can make the argument that the Cowboys drafted themselves into a super team over the course of a couple of seasons.
His argument is you're signing people, not so much drafting. It's signing
I don't know.
Free agents.
I don't know if I agree with him, but history certainly backs him up. I mean, and was it 1999 or 2000 that Dan Snyder opened up his checkbook and brought in all this major defensive people and all these big name free agents, and it just fell flat? I mean, yeah, I think to a certain extent there is. I think the problem, and to be fair, the Rams haven't won a game since they brought in Von Miller. They're 0-3 since they traded for him. So these are valid concerns. I think anytime you add a player to a team, there is going to be a settling in period. So and Odell is a huge distraction. I don't think there's any benefit to bringing Odell Beckham Jr. in ever at this point in his career, because he's more a distraction than anything else. So I don't know if I agree with him, but I can't dispute his data. What do you think?
The same. If we're just looking at the Rams, I mean, you're right. You're right in one aspect. It does take players, even if they've been playing for several years and they go to a different team, like it's a completely different environment, just a different playbook. So it does take time to, evolve and like get used to how they do things. So honestly, and I don't want to take anything away from any position player, but unless you're a running back whose scope of focus is pretty much running the ball, so you really just have to know to go left or right or middle, is much different than a receiver. And they do run routes, but the receiver's running routes every play. A quarterback has to know everything that's going on in the field. Same thing with a middle linebacker. So I think there is going to be adjustment time. And you're right that I guess they thought with Robert Woods getting hurt, Odell would be a good addition, to have somebody go down the sidelines. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work, really.
That's the thing. They already had Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson's already a Ram.
I've seen people's reasoning being that he's too young and too inexperienced to help them right now because apparently they want to win now.
He has helped them.
I know.
When did Woods get hurt?
3 weeks ago.
I'm pulling up his stats right now. I want to see game logs. Game logs. Van Jefferson's last 3 games. 3 receptions on 9 targets, 93 yards in the touchdown. 3 receptions on 7 targets, 54 yards. 3 receptions on 7 targets, 41 yards. They brought in Odell right before Robert Woods got hurt, and they've lost 2 games since then. So that's the last 2 games. So in the 2 games since they brought in Odell, Jefferson is 6 for 16, which is not a good catch rate, I admit.
Right.
He's 6 for 16 for 147 yards in the touchdown. That's not exactly terrible.
No, I think people's issues with him are drops,
which these numbers would back up. I mean, what I 6 for 16, that's like 30%.
Right.
That's a little bit. That's like 35%. I'm not doing the math very good in my head. I'll do the math. I'll do it. 16 divided by 6 is way. That can't be right.
Try it again.
6 divided by 16. There we go. 37.5%. So yeah, all right. So he's under 40%, but I mean, he's the deep ball threat. The deep ball threat. He's not going to catch. They've played how many games this year? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They've played 11 games this year. He's got 3 games where he's got a catch of over 60 yards or more.
Hmm.
In the season opener, he was only targeted 3 times. He had 2 catches for 80 and a touchdown. So I don't know what people want. That's beside the point. All right. Really quick.
Yeah.
Last one from me because we got to move on. I looked at the slate of games this week and preparing for America's favorite game. And one game jumped out at me.
Okay.
That I said I need to discuss with Craig. And I guarantee it's not a game that you would think I would bring up.
Okay.
Although you know me well, so maybe you would say, okay, I'm not surprised you're asking about that game. But if I said to you, oh, that reminds me, we haven't heard from the source today.
Oh.
Let's text the source really quick. Any picks for this week? No, don't send a text to any picks for this week. Any picks? I'm not even drinking. That's the worst part. So, all right, so you wouldn't even think it'd be the game I think you would. If I said to you, there's one game I'm looking at, you probably would never guess this game, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So, I'm going to tell you, it's Vikings at Lions.
I was not going to guess that, but okay.
That's what I mean, right?
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you what the over-under is because you got to play America's favorite game. But Lions are +7. They played on Thanksgiving, which means they basically have like 10 days off. Now, the Vikings come in back-to-back road games. They don't look very sharp. Kirk looks like he's up to throwing the ball to just in the air to see who catches it. Dalvin Cook is unlikely to play. My question, Craig, is this the week for Detroit?
Seeing how the Vikings were the last 2 weeks, Dalvin Cook being hurt and Kirk Cousins being distraught and Justin Jefferson clearly yelling at him at times from across the field, this might be and I think everyone in the Lions is healthy. I don't know about DeAndre Swift. But this could be the Lions. I would not be surprised the Lions win this game.
Now, what if I told you the Lions were +7?
I would take the +7.
I think I am. I'm eyeing that game. I am eyeing that game. With rare exception, their games have been pretty close.
They have been. They haven't. Well, I mean, there's a couple blowouts, I think. I mean, I have to look at their schedule.
I'm pulling it up right now.
But a lot of their games were in like one score, I feel like.
All right, so they lost to the Niners by 8.
Okay.
They lost to the Packers by 18. Okay. They lost to the Ravens by 2. That was that record-setting field goal.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to the Bears by 10. They lost to the Vikings by 2.
Mm-hmm.
They got killed by the Bengals. They lost to the Rams by 9. They got killed by the Eagles. They tied the Steelers. They lost to the Browns by 3. They lost to the Bears by 2. So how many times did they lost by like more than 10 points? Like 3?
3 times?
Yeah.
The Bengals, the Packers, and someone else, yeah.
The Bengals, the Packers, and the Eagles hit them 44-6 on Halloween.
Yeah, so playing Minnesota again +7, I would take that +7.
They lost 19-17 in Minnesota.
Yeah, now they're home.
In Minnesota. I'm looking at that. That game is intriguing to me. That game is really intriguing to me, and I think Detroit could win it outright. I do. I think Detroit could win it outright. So, all right, let's move on.
Okay.
I guess America's favorite game. Let's go to America's favorite game. Jeez, I take a week off, and I don't even know how to run my own show anymore.
See what bye weeks do.
Yeah. See, so the good news is you didn't lose last week because we didn't play last week, so we didn't record. So the better news is apparently all this parity and like things like Denver beating the Chargers has scared Vegas into this weird kind of like don't rock the boat situation.
Okay.
There is only 2 games over 50.
2, eh?
And there are 14 games on the slate this week. So 10 of them have lines between 44 and 49.
Oh, man.
Like everyone is sitting there going average scoring right in the middle, somewhere in that 44-point range. But 2 teams, and nobody under 40. The lowest over-under of the week is 41.5. So your task tonight with 3 strikes on the board, tell me the 2 games that are 50.5 over-unders.
All right, let's go with our default every week. Let's go with the Broncos-Chiefs.
Broncos-Chiefs is absolutely incorrect.
Wow.
47.5. I know, I was shocked.
You're going to take the over in that game?
Yes. Yes, I am. Because the problem is that the Broncos are inept at offense. The only thing they can do is run the ball. But you know what? The only thing the Chiefs can't do is stop the run. Everyone is run. The Chiefs, Melvin Gordon and was Jamal Williams. I'm drawing a blank on his name. That's not the right guy. Javonte Williams.
Yes.
They should have a field day. They should both be DFS viable, in my opinion. I haven't looked at the metric number specifically yet, but they should both be viable.
They should be.
So, yeah, I'll take the over in that game. I will. So, but that's strike one.
Damn.
And you know what? I think that's the
every
first
week.
time. The first time the Chiefs have been under 50, I think, this entire year. I'd have to go back and check the tape on it, but I think it's the first time they've been under 50 all year.
All right, let me see the games here.
Believe it or not, there's actually 5 games with higher over-unders than the Chiefs-Broncos this week, and that's shocking to me.
Wow. Giants, no. Cardinals-Bears, no. Saints-Cowboys, maybe if it was the Saints from last year, but I don't think so.
Last year's Saints, I would say you'd have to go that way, but Cowboys are getting very close to tire fire.
They're on the
for me too.
Excuse me, they're on the line. They're on the line. Colts, Texans.
Expectations are way too high.
I don't think the Texans can score that much.
Yeah, these are not games I would guess. This is a hard week.
Let's go. Man, this is a hard week. All right, let's just go with it. Let's just try Jags-Rams.
Jags-Rams is a 48. So that is
come
strike
on.
2.
Boo.
Strike 2. That is a game. I won't touch that game. If that game's 48, then it's probably like 35-13. I mean, but you know what? You're gonna get right. The Rams are gonna get right. They're gonna if the Rams lose to Jacksonville,
That's over.
It's my God.
My hope for John Stafford is done.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think I'll take the Rams here. I think they're minus 13, honestly. So that's like roughly 35-21 kind of. Yeah, I think they're minus 13. But I won't touch that game. I just won't. This is the kind of game where a team like Jacksonville decides they're going to make a statement. And all of a sudden it's 27-24 and Jacksonville wins. You're like, holy crap, what the hell just happened?
I know. Now there's all these rumors that Urban Meyer's going to go back to college. Shocking.
Yeah.
I think last thing is I saw a rumor about him taking the Notre Dame job.
Good. Let him go there and fail. Let him go there and fail. Chip Kelly, by the way, totally mishandled that situation.
Which, the Notre Dame one?
Yes.
Oh.
The team found out by press release.
Oh, really? I thought he texted them.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no. Some of them he didn't. He reached out to them after the press release came out, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't know LSU was going to release it that quickly." Are you kidding?
Yes, you did.
Are you new to this?
You should have told them, like, when you decided and you got hired. That's when you should have told them.
Yes. Number one, if you're in that situation, again, we've all had jobs we've had to quit.
Right.
Unless you're 12 years old and you're listening to this podcast, by which way, welcome. Don't forget, we do use swear words here. But unless you're 12 years old, you've had a job you've had to quit. You don't go around publicizing it unless you really hate your old boss.
Right.
And the people you work with. You don't go on Facebook and talk about it until you tell your boss.
Right.
It's just not the way it's done. And for something as high profile as the job at LSU, that's a conversation you have at time of hire. Chip Kelly's people has to say to LSU, "Can you give us a day so we can talk to the team? Or do you have plans to put out a press release? Because we want to make sure it coincides with
Right.
Chip having time to talk to his team." They did none of that here.
No.
Apparently, Chip Kelly said, They said, "You want it?" He said, "I'll take it." And they all hung up the phone.
They were like, "Now what?"
I'll see you next week to sign the paperwork. Have a great night. Click. And LSU put out a press release, and now Chip Kelly's like, "Oh, yeah. So, yeah."
Awkward.
Yep.
All right.
So, all right. And
let's
one
see.
strike, and there's both answers are still on the board. I can't. I'm scared
All
for
right,
you.
let's go with the person who the media hates the most out of everyone who's ever lived. Let's go with the Buccaneers and Falcons.
Yeah, poor Matt Ryan. Let's just say that right up front. Poor Matt Ryan. Bucks Falcons is 50.5. That's correct.
Wow, there we go.
That's correct. I don't know where they think 50.5 is coming from, unless, I mean, there were reports today that stuff had been stolen from Mac Jones when he left, and they were in Atlanta last week, and that one of the locker room attendants from Atlanta has been running a black market of player goods, which wouldn't be shocking because Brady's jersey, as you remember, famously went missing after his Super Bowl game. It got found in a reporter's bag, and he was like, "I don't know how I got there," and that whole thing. So it sounds like there's some shady stuff going on in the Atlanta Falcons locker room. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you get 50.5 in that game. I don't see it.
Okay, because
What's
the Buccaneers score like 48 points.
So the Bucks are minus 11. So let's do some quickie math. That's roughly 39, 40 points. So that's 20 to 31. Roughly 20 to 31 is the anticipated file.
The Falcons can score at least twice.
But that's not 20. At
That
every
is
point
not.
the Falcon doesn't score under 50, if they score 14 points, that means Brady's got to account for 37. 37-14?
The way the Falcons have been, it wouldn't shock me, honestly.
It would have to be. They'd have to be up by double digits at halftime. They'd have to be up. That game would have to be like 28-7 at halftime for this to happen because the Arians is not Belichick. Belichick keeps his foot to the floor. He's always looking. He looks at games that are blowouts as practice. Get out there and practice.
Essentially.
Arians looks at it as, holy shit, my quarterback's 40.
You should come off the field now.
Go sit out, old man, and have it ensure. Wait a minute, your receivers, you mean the guys you like catching the ball, sit their asses down too. I got 53 guys here. Who's the backup?
Pretty much.
So, I mean, that's the thing. I don't see how they're going to get to that number just based off of they don't play the same style as New England. A blowout is possible. I just don't see it as likely. I don't know. That's a game I won't touch. That's another game I won't touch. I'm not really thrilled with the Lions this week. I'll be honest with you. Except for the Lions themselves, I'm not thrilled. All right, you got one strike.
All right.
And you got one game.
All right. You know what?
Give it to me.
I'm 2 beers in because I had a beer before the podcast. I'm going to go.
Was that an Imperial?
It was.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm going to go with the game that should have been bumped. I'm going to go Chargers-Bengals.
Chargers-Bengals is correct.
Woo!
That's a 50.5. I think that is half the fact that the Bengals on offense look like they have turned a massive corner, and the Chargers should be better. And the Chargers coming off a stinging loss, and now they got to keep up with the Joneses.
Yep.
And I
And the
don't
Chargers
think
are playing in Cincinnati in December, so that's going to be
in Cincy. And the problem is the Broncos are going to Kansas City. So unless the Broncos have back-to-back upsets in them, which I don't think anybody believes is going to happen. I can see it happening. I don't think it'll happen.
It could,
unless
quote unquote,
but if
it
that
could happen. But yeah,
if that doesn't happen, that hurts the Chargers badly. Badly.
So what does the AFC West look like? So let's say let's say Denver loses and the Chargers lose.
Pulling it up right now. Stay with me. All right, the AFC West right now. The Chiefs have a 1-game lead on everybody.
Okay.
Everyone is 6-5, except the Chiefs are 7-4.
Okay.
So if the Broncos lose to the Chiefs,
right,
and the Chargers lose to the Bengals, they're now 2 games back of the lead. Who are the Raiders playing this week?
They are playing the Washington football team.
So you got to expect that that's probably a win.
Probably.
Now the chaos happens if the Broncos beat the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Raiders both win their games. The entire division is 7-5.
That's kind of crazy.
Now you got chaos.
Yeah, this honestly, after the last 2 weeks, the playoffs are giant. Who the hell knows?
That would be AFC West chaos.
Yeah, it's just a mess. And then quick little side note on that Chargers Bengals game. Do you know the Chargers played the Bengals in the quote unquote Freezer Bowl in 1982?
There you go.
That's right.
There you go. This is the 20th anniversary. That's been 20 years.
Yep. And you know who was in that game? Dick Enberg and Chris Collinsworth. And Dan Fouts.
Did Chris Collinsworth look across at Dick Enberg and go, "Now there's a guy"?
Well,
he always says that.
Yeah. Well, Dick Enberg was the announcer, but Collinsworth played and Dan Fouts played. But it was cold. It was like, I'm trying to find. It was like with the wind chill. It was like -30 or some insane number.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. All right, let's move on to the metric.
All right.
All right, so we took last week off. I gave the metric a holiday too. I poured him a nice little banana daiquiri and said, "Here, drink this." I'm looking to see if we've gotten nothing from the source. I think the source is going underground.
It happens sometimes.
It does. I mean, he's a very mysterious figure.
Wow, really quick. It was -59 with the wind chill.
Holy shit. How's that even possible?
I don't know, but that's cold. Very cold.
How is that even possible? I think I sat at a UConn football game in December once with the wind blowing in my face and it was snowing. And I think it was -6 with the wind chill. And I thought I was going to die. And that's not even close to what you're talking to me about.
That's crazy talk.
We bought a case. I'm not even, not a case, a carton of those little charcoal activated hand warmers.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Dubra, but okay.
No, those are other stories. That's like a 20-pack of them.
Okay.
We had them in our shoes and in our gloves. I think it was me and Keith, our buddy Keith. So we were 8 of us each. No, you know what it was? It was we had enough to change every quarter. So that's like 32. There's like 35 of them in this box. And we finally said, okay, kickoff happens. We activated 2, we put them in our shoes, put 2 in our gloves, and we sat there. With like 2 minutes left in the first quarter, we're ready to die.
Wow.
We're dying. Our extremities are losing it. And I think an incomplete pass happened with like 2 seconds left in the first quarter. And Keith and I were like, "Oh, Jesus Christ. You got to stop. Catch the ball." Because we just wanted the quarter to end, because that was the agreement. We would only change them every quarter so we could space them out.
They knew you were waiting.
I remember when we got to the gate that day, I had the box with me. And they're not edible, and they're not a banned substance. And the security guard at the door looks at me and goes, "What's in the box?" I open it up and I go, "Hand warmers." And I opened the box up like I was trying to sell him one, like on display.
Okay.
And he went, "I don't know." I went, "There is nothing in your rules that prohibit hand warmers. I've already checked. I've already checked the stadium rules. You have nothing that prohibits them." And the guy goes, "Oh, I know that. I'm wondering if you have an extra pair you could spare for me." And so I gave him a set. Here you go. I gave him two. Here you go.
Nice.
Here's two.
Nice.
Put them in your goddamn hand and tell nobody, because those are the only two actually I have to spare. The rest of these, we had this whole conversation walking through the stadium, how we were going to do this to make sure they lasted. So, all right. So the metric got the week off. So I come back to it and I go, "Are you rested, buddy? Are you ready to give me some decent guys?" And he went, "Don't worry, I got you covered." I said, "Hit me. Let's go start with quarterback." And he said, "Taysom Hill." And I went, "I don't know." So Taysom Hill's only 5,000. Here's my biggest issue when you take super discount quarterbacks. 17 points feels like a ceiling to me. If Taysom Hill gets over 20 points, I'll be shocked. I think I'm going to bypass him, and I'm going to look for one of the more higher scoring games and look at maybe Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. Just saying, I think both of them are good for at least 20 points. It's not as good a value play, but I think I'm willing to pay up the extra 1,000 to get somebody I know reliably is going to get me points. What do you think?
No, those are the two quarterbacks I was looking at, because they are, they're a little above mid range. They're 6,300 and 6,700.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to pay up really for, like, say, let me just look at the list here.
I'm not paying up for Brady.
Or Dak. Dak's 7,100. Like,
Brady is 7,200. And I'm telling you again, if that game is 35-7 at half, and Leonard Fournette has a rushing touchdown, and Ronald Jones has a running touchdown or two, and Brady is 6 for 10 for 112 yards and 1 touch, if they're up 35-0 or 28-0, he is not going to play the whole game.
Yes.
But he's probably throwing for 4 touchdowns if they get that. Did he throw for 4 touchdowns last week?
No, but Leonard Fournette did. Well, he ran.
They scored 5 rushing touchdowns last week.
Yep.
4 by Fournette, 1 by Ronald Jones, because we looked at each other and went, Ronald Jones still plays? So,
poor Sean.
Yeah, poor Sean. He was big on Ronald Jones this year. He was the Ronald Jones truther, and the truth was he's wrong. The Bucks had a big week last week, and Brady didn't need to have it. Right. So I'm not buying into, well, this game is going to be high scoring, so Brady is definitely going to have the numbers. If this game does end up being one-sided and high scoring, they might rest him. So I'm going to fade Brady in every format. Dak, I have no faith. The Cowboys have been exposed. Zeke is not the same. Craig called it. He called it. He was like, I don't know. The guys I trust are just so expensive this week. Like, Kyler Murray is going to be 7,500, but he's a great pick against Chicago. But I don't think he's going to. At 7,500, he's got to get to 24 points. I don't know if he's going to get to 24 points. Lamar Jackson, 7,800. He's got to get to like 27 points. Josh Allen, 7,900. He's got to get to 24 points against New England. I don't think that's going to happen.
But what would you pay up for Mahomes at 7,700 against Denver?
No, because Denver's secondary is very aggressive. Very, very aggressive, which means he's going to have opportunities. But then it comes down to a coin flip thing. So Tyreek Hill is going to get his chance to streak down the field. But is KC going to be able to buy the time he's going to need to unload the ball?
Right.
Just remember, every time Tyreek Hill is in single coverage, that means either a coverage was blown or there is a free safety coming at Patrick Mahomes' face. One of those two things is going to be true in almost every situation where Tyreek Hill has one-on-one coverage. And as fast as Cheetah is, he's not a great adjuster on his routes, in my opinion. He's not one of those guys on the fly that goes, oh crap, Patrick's in trouble, I'm going to step back. And that's what he uses Kelsey for. That's what he used Sammy Watkins for. Sammy Watkins, of course, is not there anymore. That's what he uses DeMarcus Robinson for all the time. So, no, I would not pay up for Mahomes this week either. You know who's intriguing to me too, and he's way down. I've only got him for 17 points. Is Matt Stafford, but he's 7,300. If he was under 7K, he might be usable. So, all
Yeah.
right, let's move on to running back. So you're gonna have a trouble at quarterback. You can't go big at quarterback this week. You got to find out your risk level has to be. Do you want to risk going $5,000 and going Taysom Hill, or do you want to go with something a little bit more mid range and take more of a Joe Burrow at 6,300? I'm not touching Mac Jones. Mac Jones is only 5,300. Not going to touch it. Derek Carr 6,000. Not going to touch it. It's a rough week. It's a rough week at quarterback. Running back, little bit easier. Antonio Gibson is only 5,700, and Vegas gives up the run like a slot that's broken. So I'm expecting 20 plus points from Antonio Gibson. Now, again, everyone was like, oh, Antonio Gibson preseason. Yeah, I get it. He hasn't. Frickin' John Hansen had an episode on SiriusXM entitled, I'm apologizing for Antonio Gibson again. He hasn't lived up to expectations.
Last week.
Last week was good. That's what I'm saying. So Antonio Gibson's absolutely usable at 5,700. Beyond that, this is where I'm paying up this week, guys. Jonathan Taylor and Joe Mixon. Oh, Jonathan Taylor's 9,200. I've got him slated for 32 points. I think he's going to break the 30-point barrier. I think he's got to have at least one touchdown on him, probably two, and I'm looking at about 150 all-purpose yards. I just, it's there. Now, here's the problem. You pay up for Jonathan Taylor and or Joe Mixon, and Joe Mixon decides to have one of those games where he carries the ball 4 times for 16 yards and then goes out with a mysterious injury.
Right.
Or Jonathan Taylor gets put aside because Indianapolis is killing Houston by 30. But if he's killing them by 30, no, they don't want Wentz to throw. I'm probably going to pair Gibson and Taylor in a bunch of lineups and just have to spend down elsewhere. What do you like at running back this week?
I do like Gibson this week because he's the reason why I lost in the home league, because I was up by 30 points and then I lost by like 5. So yeah, especially with him being 5,700. I mean, that's an amazing value and he's playing the Raiders.
Yep. You know who's intriguing? I'm sorry, go on. Finish that thought.
So I do like Mixon because the Chargers' run defense is not spectacular. But again, yeah, you always wonder about, is he going to twist his ankle and then what are you going to do?
Right. I mean, you could say that about anybody, but Joe Mixon has had a lot of those little, he just needs to sit out the second half and he'll be back next week kind of injuries in his early on in his career.
Right.
And since he has been cautious with him, and if the Chargers falter and they don't need Mixon, I think that game's going to be close. I don't think that's going to be a problem. But
I do like, and don't be upset, I do like Melvin Gordon at 5,300.
Oh, how can you not?
Against the Chiefs.
How can you not? The Chiefs defensively, the Chiefs pass rush has gotten better. The Chiefs secondary is playing better, but that neither of those things work against the run.
Correct.
You can still run on Kansas City. And the improvement to the passing defense, both on the rush and in the secondary, could be very temporary.
Right.
This is how this team goes. They turn it on in bursts. They got criticized like crap. Now they've won 4 in a row, and they're leading the division. Does the pressure feel a little bit off? If the pressure comes off...
Yeah, then they're like, we'll be all right.
Yeah. 3 weeks ago, Tiramato was calling us a toxic fan base.
This right. He was.
He's done with us anyway. He wants way too much money. There's no way we can afford to keep him. You know, it was really quick before we move on. You know who's intriguing this week, and I might have to sneak him into a lineup?
Who?
Clyde Edward-Helaire.
Oh, really?
5,800. Can he get to 17 points?
Against Denver at home? There's I would say there's a pretty good chance.
Denver's secondary is fantastic, but their run and their short game is not. If you sprint Tyreek Hill and you go a 3 wide single set back and you sprint everybody down the field and do a screen pass or run a quarterback option
to Byron Pringle.
Or run the, I forget what they call it, that little inside draw that he likes to do with little shovel passes. You run that stuff, Clyde Edwards-Helaire could have 3 carries for 7 yards and nothing, or he could have 18 carries for 105 and 2 touchdowns. Either is possible. His ceiling is really high, but his floor is like 3 points.
Right. Yep.
It's intriguing. I'm going to have to look at it. Oh, all right, we're running out of time. I got to go to wide receivers. So I said to the metric, I gave you the week off, and the week I gave you off, Darnell Mooney went freaking off. And Darnell Mooney does not go off 2 weeks in a row, and he's playing Arizona. So don't you dare give me Darnell Mooney. And he said, don't worry about it. I'm not talking about Darnell Mooney this week. I'm like, who are you talking about? And he said, Nico Collins. And I went, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Nico Collins is 3,100, and the metric has him slated for 8 points. And that puts him, it doesn't put him at 3x. I have no wideouts at 3x this week. Not one. The names across the top are just craptacular. So you know who I'm going to use?
Who are you going to use?
I'm going to use Darnell Mooney at 5,600. And Brandon Ayuk at 5,600. I'm going to have to go middle of the road this week. There's some value out there. Deontay Harris is 3,600. He has potential to actually make a Devontae Parker, but the Giants secondary is stingy. I actually like Zay Jones possibly this week at 3,200. But a lot of it's a reach this week. A lot of it is a reach. Like Jalen Reagor, 3,200. I don't know. This is going to be a rough week, guys. You're going to have to make some tough decisions. And if you want to, you can start Joe Mixon and Jonathan Taylor, but get ready to be starting Josh Reynolds, Nico Collins, and Juwan Jennings.
Exactly.
And Jennings has looked good for San Francisco. You can't deny that. I just don't think that there's a consistent role there for him yet, because Ayuk has been coming on and Deebo Samuel has been dominant. So help me out, Craig. Who am I looking at this week? I have no idea what to do with Whiteout.
So,
I'm scared.
like you said, Whiteout is
Scared
an
and cold.
absolute Whiteout is an absolute mess this week if you're looking for value. Finally, last week, if I had him in my lineup in our home league, I would have won. T. Higgins is finally he had his breakout week last week. So I think with the Bengals being at home against the Chargers, he has the potential to do it again. So I am looking at him. I know you're going to call me crazy.
You're crazy.
T.Y. Hilton is 4,400. They're playing Houston.
The price tag's right.
The price tag is there.
But if they rely on the run game, can Jonathan Taylor and T.Y. both produce value at the same time?
At 4,400, I think the potential is higher than in a normal case, I think.
Okay, in a week where there is so little, the prices, everyone's 5,500 or up or under 3,000.
Right.
Like that middle grade is just not there this week. Oh, look at Deontay Harris at 3,600. It's Deontay Harris. It's Taysom Hill at quarterback. We have no idea what to expect from Taysom Hill. Well, Albert Wilson's 3,200. He's playing the Giants, and he's still Albert Wilson. Sorry, guys. I don't see it here. I don't see the obvious plays are expensive. Keenan Allen is $7,500. Marquise Brown is $6,500. Godwin $6,600. Thielen $7,300. The guys you count on week in week out to sit there and go, that's the guy I can use. They're all over 6,000 this week. There is nobody in that mid range.
None. It's very
Deshaun Jackson, but I'm not using them at 4,200. Cole Beasley at 4,400, great. I have no interest in Cole Beasley.
None? You sure?
None. All right, so let's talk about tight ends. There's got to be value with tight end, otherwise we're screwed. And there is. Foster Moreau is 2,700, and the metric has him slated for 10 points. Did something bad happen to
Darren Waller?
Darren Waller's hurt, isn't he?
I'd have to look it up.
Yes, no, he's hurt. He's hurt. I don't know why I don't know why I don't remember these things. It's because I look at so many fucking names. Darren Waller's out. Moreau's 2,700. That's going to put him in the 10-point range against Washington. I think he's probably going to be usable. I think that's probably what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to use Foster Moreau to save $400 or $500 so that I can afford to do these other things. What do you like at tight end this week?
Hi, tight end. It's not as bad as receiver, but it's definitely up there. Like I am not
See,
paying.
I like this. I like
I'm
these numbers I'm seeing.
like, well, I'm not paying. I'm not paying up for Mark Andrews at 6,000.
No, but like, look at the guys in the mid range. Look at Azoma at 3,200. Look
That
at
could
Cook at
work.
3,100. Look at Thomas at 4,000.
Those could work. Or Cole Komet at 36,
3,600.
or
Got him
Tyler
slated.
Conklin at 37. That could
Listen,
work.
don't spend more than $4,000.
Essentially, yes. Do not spend, let's see, $5,400 on Zach Ertz. Just don't do that.
Oh,
Don't.
breaking news from Metsland. Marcus Stroman's going to the Cubs.
Oh, sad.
Oh, he was
Sorry.
good.
Sorry, Cinch.
New York did not treat him well enough, in my opinion. That's beside the point. I thought he did a good job for New York. He put up with a lot of our bullshit too. Yeah, I wouldn't pay, but I'm not going to pay more than 4,000 this week. There are too many good options or decent options. Tyler Higbee's 3,800 against freaking Jacksonville. Yeah, Tyler Higbee has stunk this year. I get it, but 3,800, he gets in the end zone once. You've pretty much got value, and it's Jacksonville. I'm not
Right.
spending up this week on. This is where I'm going to save my money. I'm going to save my money on tight end. Defense. Metric says there is no value anywhere. Everybody is too
Pick
well.
one you can afford.
The top three in the metric are Washington at 2,500, the Chiefs at 2,900, and the Dolphins at 3,300. If I have all the money available, I'm taking the Chiefs there. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to keep Denver in check. I don't think the biggest thing is, can they stop the run? If they can stop Denver's running game, the Chiefs dominate this game. And that's it. That's where I'm looking. That being said, the fourth name on the list is the Denver Broncos at 2,500. I wouldn't touch the Broncos. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to move the ball. Is there anybody you like?
Looking at defenses, I'd have to see what kind of money I have left over because
Oh yeah.
I tend to use defensives last after the flex spot. So I do like the Bengals defense at home. They've actually been playing very well again. And but it's a little pricey. I do kind of like the Dolphins playing the Giants because the Giants don't have an offense.
How much are the Dolphins this week?
They're 33.
That's a money is available
Right.
situation, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah, I've got them pegged for over 7 points, which is pretty high. I think they're the cheapest team I have that's at 7 points. Yeah, they are 3,300 of all. I don't have anybody on my list that's over 7 points on defense this week. Again, the parity is starting to show, and of the teams over 7 points, everybody's more than $3,300 except the Dolphins. So yeah, I think that's not a bad play. I just don't know if I'm going to have that extra $400 to upgrade from the Chiefs to the Dolphins.
Right.
That's the problem. So, all right, Craig, we're out of time. Sadly.
Sad.
So, final thought. What do you got for me?
Final thought, just welcome back for the week. We did take the unannounced week off. Sorry, it happens, whatever. But it's being Christmas time. I'm just gonna say it out there. I'm finally out of retail after 7 long years. If you go shopping, just be nice to the person helping you, because life in retail right now, or customer service in general, it just kind of really sucks. So don't be a dick.
Yes.
That's all I'll say.
And patience, guys. Patience. Everyone is understaffed. I work in HR. I work in an HR department. I see it every day. For a variety of it, before anybody starts stumping up, there's the damn payments from unemployment. There's so many free. Do you know how many people I've lost at the place I work because of childcare issues? Because they can't rely on schools to remain open. We know a person who's literally, their school has been closed, I think, since September 5 times.
Wow.
And so what do you do if you have 2 working parents and all of a sudden your kid comes home with a note that says they have to do school from home for 4 days while they clean out the entire school and make sure that everyone and by the way, you're technically now exposed too, so you're probably, what employer is going to put up with that happening 5 times in like a 4-month period? I mean, be patient out there, guys. It's rough. He's absolutely right. That's a great final thought. My final thought is, believe it or not, it is V Foundation week at ESPN, and they're focusing in obviously on the great and late Jim Valvano, the man who famously ran across a court 40 years ago looking for anyone to hug. But it's also, believe it or not, it's 28 years since Jim Valvano gave the speech at the ESPYs where which led to the creation of the V Foundation. And it's been 28 years. It's just a reminder that during this season, that's supposed to be a season of giving, don't forget that giving isn't just about giving gifts. There are a number of good charities out there that need help, that need our support. And the V Foundation is one of them. The last time I checked, the V Foundation was fully endowed. So all their administrative costs are being covered by endowment. So when you give them $1, that's $1 that goes towards cancer research. And that's important to note too when you look at your charities. Look at their breakdown. How much of every dollar actually goes to the people or to the cause that you're supporting? Because some of them are a little shady, but most of them have built endowments over the years now that allow them to do these kinds of things through corporate sponsorships, like with ESPN. So definitely during the season of giving, take a moment and just look around you at the places that can use your support and donate judiciously if you can. But donating isn't the only thing you can do. You can leave us a review. Anywhere you listen to us, any podcast directory where you find this podcast, we would welcome a review. If you'd like to reach out to us directly, we are on Twitter at FignutsDFS. We are fignutsdfs@gmail.com if you'd like to send us an email. It used to be email was like the fastest way to communicate with somebody. Now it feels like the slowest, but we do have an email. Yeah, I check the email every week. We're also on Facebook at the Football Fignuts podcast on Facebook. Please leave us a review there or reach out to us there. I feel like I'm missing some sort of venue, but I think I just hit them all.
Twitter?
But reviews. Twitter. I said that at Fignuts DFS, yeah.
Yep.
I really should script this out. I keep saying I'm gonna, and I just never do it. I'm a lazy bastard. But we do appreciate it, and your feedback and your reviews help us greatly. So before I say goodbye, hi Deb.
Hi Deb.
Gotta sneak it in. Yeah, thank you. I actually had a conversation, Craig, really quick before we go.
Yeah.
I had a conversation during my my gaming stream last night. One of the guys that I game with, a guy whose screen name is Trestus, came on and was like, "Man, I missed the podcast last week." I'm like, "Somebody actually noticed we were off. We've made it to the big time."
That feels good. Feels good.
It feels nice to be wanted. So thank you, Trestus, for your continued support as well. So we will be back next week. I don't think we have any more weeks off between now and the end of the year, although I am off the week between Christmas and New Year's, so who knows what kind of shape I'll be in to record that week, but we'll see what happens. Are you taking any time off during the holiday this year?
Again, because I'm finally out of retail, I have that week off as well. It's first time since 2011 that I have that week off.
Wait a minute. The entire week between Christmas and New Year?
I may have to work that Monday after Christmas, but that's it.
So we have the New Year's Eve celebration on Friday. So that means Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're off.
Yes.
You know what we haven't done in a very long time and is staring at me from across the room right now?
What?
Rebellion.
Oh, I think we'll have more than enough time for that.
Will we? The last time we broke open Rebellion, we played for 8 hours to a stalemate. It's like chess for Star Wars nerds. It
really is. And then, the game's complete as long as Khajiit gets blown up. So,
well, that's the thing. You just it's a Star Wars strategy game that takes hours to play, and every time we've played it, whoever's playing as the side of the Empire just gets to the point where like, screw this, I'm just going to start shooting planets.
Sometimes it works.
And sometimes it works. Most of the time, the Rebellion is just running for its freaking life. As a Death Star is slowly moving across. And the worst part is, when they built this game, they never thought you would ever destroy more than 3 of the 30 planets. So there's only 3 destroyed planet markers. So at some point, you're like writing blown up on a napkin and putting it on the board. It gets a little wild. So we might have to consider doing that, but we'll see. I would say stream that, but nobody wants to watch that. Nobody wants to watch us play this.
You never know.
Craig, thank you as always. Excellent job.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next week. Go enjoy week 13. Bet with your head, not with your heart, particularly with this freaking slate. And we thank you so much. Until next week, my name is Britt,
I'm Craig.
and we are the Football Fignuts Podcast.